All you gotta do is say my name. 3 words. No, 3 times. 3 times it must be spoken. Unbroken. I don't fucking know. What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we are taking a look at Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice! Not saying it again because I don't want a demon in my room. But, yeah, Beetlejuice 2. Beetlejuice. It recently came out, and it is another one of our Halloween-y movies which we're taking a look at this Halloween. And unfortunately, he did not make his way into Fortnite, but he did make his way onto the big screen in cinemas, something that we never expected, because Tim Burton does not like doing sequels. Tim Burton has openly said that he does not like doing sequels, but he came back for this one, so it must have been good. I'm gonna be honest, it's overhyped as fuck. But before we get into that, without any further delay, let's take a look at what Google has to say. So, Beetlejuice is a 2024 horror comedy. It's not a horror movie, I will say that right now. It's an hour and 44 minutes, you know, going back to the OG length of movies back in, like, the early 2000s. It has a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb and a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. 3 generations of the Dietz family return home to Winter River after an unexpected family tragedy. Still haunted by Beetlejuice, Lydia's life soon gets turned upside down when her rebellious teenage daughter discovers a mysterious portal to the afterlife. When someone says Beetlejuice's name 3 times, the mischievous demon gleefully returns to unleash his very own brand of mayhem. Right, now that that's out the way, let's quickly get back to how the actual story is. So, we have Lydia, the main character who agreed to marry Beetlejuice in the first one. Beetlejuice is kind of a pedophile, not gonna lie, he's like over 1,000 years old, and Lydia in the first one was like a teenager. Don't know how he got away with that one, but he's here again. She is doing her own talk show where she talks to ghosts, and she does a ghost show. She's into showbiz now, and she still has that goth aesthetic, and she has a manager who is stupidly in love with her and will do anything for her. She's taking medicine, she's taking drugs to sort of stop seeing Beetlejuice, and Beetlejuice is trying to influence her life, trying to sort of force himself into her life, trying to sort of make her see him. And he does successfully, but only for little bits, and it does cause trauma for her, and she does have panic attacks and sort of issues with seeing him, and, you know, that's not good, that is not good. So, she takes these drugs. She then tries to get in contact with her daughter because her mum rang her saying, "Your dad died," and that is upsetting. But we're gonna make art out of it because that's what I do. I really have no human emotions. The mother is awful and genuinely just tries to profit off the father's death. I do believe the father in real life was actually a pedophile, so that's why he did not return for this one, and they wrote him out the story. But technically they didn't, because they have him in like a stop-motion puppet story getting sort of plane crashing, and then they have him surviving on the wreckage and getting eaten by a shark. And yeah, brilliant. Okay, and we see him wandering around in the afterlife, you know, with a massive shark chunk missing out of him, which I do get confused actually, because how you die is reflected in your afterlife ghost, and I think that's very, very stupid, not gonna lie. I think that's very unfortunate for some of the people that do end up dying in some ridiculous ways. But anyway, we have them all going back to the family mansion to try and, you know, make stuff happen. And Lydia agrees to marry her manager, and the daughter doesn't like that. She's moody, she's angry, so she goes on a bike ride, she almost dies, and she finds a guy, and she starts to fall in love after meeting him 3 times, because she goes around to his house twice, and the 3rd time, she goes around to his house, guess what? For a Halloween party, and they go to the afterlife, because she can bring him back to life, apparently. Because he's a ghost, would you not expect it? So Lydia gets Beetlejuice and goes into the afterlife to save her. They are helped by her dad, and, you know, it doesn't actually explain. One of the big conflicts between their relationship is that the daughter doesn't believe that the mum can do what she can do, and obviously she can't see the dad, and that's a big conflict because all she wants to do is see her dad again. And it's never explained why they can't see the dad or why this conflict was caused. They kind of just skip over it and brush it under the rug. So I do believe this movie could have done with a little bit better if it had a little bit more of a runtime, a little bit more of explanation to the story. But they get her out, they get her back to reality, and Beetlejuice then is like, yo, marry me, and he sort of reveals that the manager only wanted to marry her for the money, and that was it. He never actually believed that she could see ghosts, and the mum died. I forgot her name. She died. She ended up getting bit by 2 snakes trying to do like an Egyptian ceremony, and she goes off to the afterlife with the dad, and they live happily ever after in the afterlife. Beetlejuice gets destroyed as well. Then there's also like 2 subplots with like Beetlejuice's ex-wife who comes in and sucks the souls out of people trying to find Beetlejuice, and she gets killed practically instantly. But her plot leads into for William Dafoe hunting down Beetlejuice for criminal activities, which both of these mini plots do absolutely fucking nothing to the story, and that's pretty much where the movie ends, with like all the souls going back to hell, and obviously the mother and daughter traveling the world, and that's it. That's it. That is it. Like, bro, the subplot of like Beetlejuice's ex-wife coming in to, you know, cause a little chaos. She kills 3 people, and one of them I actually quite like. She killed Bob, and Bob was cool. I liked Bob, and he died very unnecessarily. And then she died as soon as she was brought in because of a sandworm. She didn't do anything for the story. She came in and died. That was it. She came in and died. There was no threat to her. There was quite a lot of build-up, but no payoff other than a comedy death, which I absolutely hated. It was a waste of time. It was lackluster. It was pointless. There was nothing to it. It was no substance. They just brought her in to kill her off. She had no impact on any of the characters at all, other than putting Beetlejuice under a little bit of threat. Like, he made Beetlejuice have a little bit of threat to him, and that was it. That was all she did. She made Beetlejuice scared. The fact that no one could see the father as well, even though they both could see ghosts, was also bizarre to me. I don't get that. What I did like was that they didn't show the parents' face when they first walked into the house. I liked that. I thought that was cool. That was interesting. And the fact that they obviously didn't show the faces meant that something was off, and I felt a little uneasy with his presence and with them being at their house because I couldn't see their faces. I knew something was off about them, and apparently he was a murderer. He killed both of them, and again, Beetlejuice just sent him to hell. That was it. He had no real payoff. There was no real sort of danger to him. Like, he wasn't really a threat. Beetlejuice just sent him to hell, and that was it. Beetlejuice just obviously took over this workstation and sent him to hell. And he was dead. That was it. That was it. There is no payoffs. They set so much up in this movie and have no payoff. There is no payoff for anything, because Beetlejuice gets killed by some shitty loophole in the rules, which was never discussed before, by the way, by taking a soul into the underworld, alright? That loophole was never discussed before, was just sort of thrown in as like, hey, fuck you, we don't want Lydia to marry you, so, you know, loophole gone. The fact that you can still tamper with her mind is a little iffy. No one really explained that, and he'll probably still continue doing that, because it's Beetlejuice, and he loves Lydia for whatever reason. And I'm not saying the acting is bad. The acting on everyone's part is decent, especially for the girl that plays Wednesday Addams, I forget her name, the girl that plays Fiona Ryder, and Michael Keaton. All 3 of them incredible actors. The side characters kind of feel very lackluster, and the main villain, Kid, didn't really have much to do. He kind of fell flat, not gonna lie. And Lydia, actor, I think it not Lydia, what's she called? Dolores' actor kind of fell flat as well. The music was really good, and the visual effects were quite cheap. They felt really dated. They did use a lot of practical effects, but it made it look really cheap. They made it look like it wasn't a 2024 movie. It kind of looked like it should have been made in like the early 2000s, and Beetlejuice did kind of give off Deadpool vibes to me, with just all his random powers and his like capability to just change the story at will. Like, I don't get that, because not every ghost has that ability. He seems to be the only one who can have all these sort of magic powers to change the story, but only when it suits him. He doesn't change it to do anything else. He just changes it because he feels like it. So it does give Deadpool vibes, where he's breaking the fourth wall and sort of changing this, that, and the other. I just didn't enjoy this one. It wasn't scary. I did laugh at some of the jokes, I am going to be honest. Some of the jokes were quite funny. It was amusing to watch. But I do feel like it could have been better. There was so much more potential for this movie. It just fell flat. And I think it could have been better. And I now understand why Tim Burton doesn't do sequels, because this was nowhere near as good as the original. And I don't know, there was so much potential in it, and so much sort of stuff that they set up that just came crashing down. Like, all the practical effects felt cheap and dated, and they prided themselves on using a lot of props and physical elements which didn't really look good, I'm gonna be honest. It just kind of fell flat, and I don't know why people are praising this so highly. I cannot give it any more than a 5 out of 10. It is a mid-movie, which is a pastime. It's just a pastime.